Hi students, it's Mrs. T here, and this is our first video discussion that will involve some of the meat and potatoes that we need to get in order to start understanding this sociology class that we are signed up for this semester. So this short video is just a little bit of an introduction about what the topic is and why this topic is on so many of your degree plans. If you look at the course learning outcomes that are on our syllabus, there are 4 course learning outcomes, and all of them have to do with society, have to do with aspects of society, and they have to do with humanity and interaction between people. And so that's where our topic, sociology, the name of our class, Intro to Sociology, our topic, sociology, comes from, or what it's all about. Okay? So this is our topic for our class. Anytime you see this ology thing on the end of a word, you should immediately remember from all the other ologies that you've ever had that this is the study of something. So what you need to do is look at this prefix, this root word over here, to so many of the words that we use in our lives today, like society or social. This prefix, soci, on the front of our sociology, this means society, or it is the root word of society, or the root word of social. So, in short, sociology is the study of society. Of course, you and I are a part of society, but society is a collection of all of us together with a whole bunch of different aspects that are wound up in this larger thing that we call sociology. So, since people make up society, when we define this word sociology, we aren't just simply going to look at these 2 parts of this word. We're not just going to take it apart and go with this very simplistic definition. We're going to say that sociology is the study, the systematic study. It's a systematic study of society, yes, but society has a different perspective. The society point of view is big, has a different perspective. So we're not just going to stop with this big point of view that looks at society as a whole. It's the systematic study of society and human interaction. Systematic study of society and human interaction. Okay, so that's what we're studying this semester. This seems like not a very complicated definition. This symbol right here means and when I draw it. I don't know if you make your and sign like that, but that's what this means right there. That symbol means and. A 3 with a straight line through it, kind of, is how I make that symbol. Anyway, this is a simple definition, easy to memorize if you're the kind of person who wants to memorize definitions, but it has a lot of meat to this, this definition here, because in sociology, it is the study of society, but we have to break this down into 2 components. But those 2 components are not independent of each other. They're really linked together and twisted together. The society level, one of the components of sociology, we call macro scale or macro sociology. That's the study of society as a whole, or large segments of society. For instance, behaviors and trends and standards across the board for people in Arkansas, for instance, or people in Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, several different states all grouped together, or the United States as a whole, or all Instagram users, or anything like that. That's a macro scale study of society. It has a lot of different components and aspects to it. And that's what we're going to focus most on in this class at the beginning, is we're going to try to turn our focus away from the micro scale, which is this human interaction, which is in small groups. Human interaction is going to take place in small groups or one-on-one through chat rooms or texting or multiplayer games or something like this. Human interaction is going to happen on the micro scale. So we have these two halves of a much bigger whole, sociology. Yes, it's the study of society, but we can't stop there. Society has a macro side, and on the you and me level, the human interaction side, society has a micro component where we go on about our day from morning until night, and we live in our own world. But in what way is our own world connected to larger society with laws and norms and religious beliefs and interactions and inequalities and all of those kinds of things that affect our individual life experience? So for instance, one of the things I talk about with my face-to-face class where this macro and micro intersect is the fact that most of us didn't really have a completely open choice about whether or not we were going to attend college. Most of us in the last 20 or 30 years had sort of an expectation placed on us at the micro level by perhaps peers, maybe teachers, maybe parents. Society as a whole also has an expectation that we will go to college. What do I mean by this? Think about the job market and the economy, wages, salaries, credentials that you have to have in order to get certain jobs that are desirable, certain jobs that have a lot of prestige or social respect associated with them. Maybe jobs that have a lot of earning potential, a high salary, or a lot of opportunities to move up and get raises periodically, or have a good title or something like that. Those kinds of jobs and the wages and salaries associated with those kinds of jobs that exist in society on the macro scale, society has rules about how we have to go about getting those. And college, higher education, is part of it. So you might have the micro level experience where someone expected you to go to college. Like some of my students who are right out of high school often share with me that their parents are allowing them to stay in the household with them past high school only if they have the condition they have to be in higher education, in college. And so there is that requirement, that rule that parents place on a right out of high school college student. But we have to stop and think about that human interaction. And where did the parents get this idea that you have to spend your time while you're at home productively working toward a college degree? Could it be that society places these expectations on all of us, and whether you and I are aware of it or not, our parents are aware of it when they place that requirement on us? Maybe you're a single parent and you became a single parent before you got out of high school, and therefore you had to go right into the workforce because you had those responsibilities that many of your peers did not have. And so you didn't have college as an option because it takes up so much time, and you had to spend that time working 1, 2, maybe 3 jobs because you had to support yourself and your little one. So maybe that's your situation. And now maybe you're in college with me because you finally have a little bit of space where you can take one class or another, and you have felt this social pressure. You felt pressure to make something of yourself. Notice I'm doing air quotes when I say make something of yourself, because society has rules and expectations that we are supposed to achieve success. I'm going to do air quotes again around the word achieve success. And how do we measure success in our particular society that we live in? We measure success to a large part through economic gains, through the salary that we are making, through the items that we're able to buy and surround ourselves with. A car is a car, but there's a difference between a Toyota and a Mercedes, right? It's an issue of a status symbol. And most jobs that will enable us to have earning potential, moving, promotion potential is what I mean to say, and moving up through the salary ranks, most of those jobs require this higher education. That is, education past the high school level. So I end up with a lot of nursing students in my class, and I often end up with culinary students, or lots of different students from lots of different degree paths. And often they tell me that if they had given the choice, if society on the macro level had allowed for a career track right out of high school that had prestige or a great deal of social respect. You could get respect from your peers and your parents and your relatives if you chose this path. And you could learn to do your job while you were working and getting paid for it. And you could have promotion potential, title changes that gave you more and more position and prestige, raises in your salary that recognized your additional responsibility that you took on. Most people, not all, but many people say that they would have chosen a career track right out of high school to do that instead of going to college if that was the way our society was set up. College takes a lot of time. It's not free. Many people don't do it because they have to go into debt in order to complete a college degree, or it takes so much time that they can't maybe work full time or work that second job that was vital for those family bills in order to make ends meet. So if our world was shaped, if our macro level society had a set of rules that we had to follow that included the option of going straight on into the workforce and working up your your career path, working up through the ranks and getting promotions on a regular basis, promotions in title, promotions in money, many people would choose that instead. But when I describe a world that looks like that, it sounds like a fairy tale, because it is a fairy tale for us. Our society is not shaped that way. Therefore, our human interaction, some of the choices that we make, some of the activities that we engage in, some of the goals that we set for ourselves are not unique to us. We are responding to larger social forces on the macro scale. We are responding to economic situations. We're responding to a job market. We're responding to a lot of pressure that society places on us to choose a certain degree plan over another degree plan, because of maybe the monetary aspect, the salaries that are available for one degree plan versus another. There's an ad I saw on TV. I don't remember what it's advertising. I think it's a Geico commercial, I think, that talks about, there's some lady who asks a server at a restaurant, "Are you in school?" "Oh, yes," was the answer. "What are you studying?" And the server says, "Art." And the next question that the customer asks is, "Oh, have you thought about how you're going to make money?" And this is a funny ad, or it's presented in a funny way, that sequence, that exchange between those two people talking. But that particular ad places emphasis on this fact that I'm trying to illustrate for you. our micro level human behavior, our micro level human interaction and activities that we are engaged in on a daily basis are controlled to a certain extent, at least influenced a great deal by larger scale social structures that create only these options and not these options. So even though we as humans have choices and we have something called a free will, which some sociologists debated the degree to which we have a free will based on the control, air quotes over control, the control that society has on us. We have choices, but to what extent are we responsible for our choices that we make? Are we 5% responsible? Are we 100% responsible? Are we 0% responsible for the choices that we make? Because really all we're doing is responding to social expectations with some of the things that we do and engage in, behave like in our daily lives. So this is just a first short introduction to our sociology class. We are going to be focused on a lot of topics over the course of this semester. By now I hope that you have looked at the chapters that we're going to cover. You can look in the tentative course schedule that's on the syllabus. It's also linked on the Start Here page for our Blackboard class, and the chapters are listed there, and I hope that you've gotten those chapter numbers and looked at all the different topics that we're going to be covering for our 4 tests, because we're going to be talking a lot about you and me on the one-on-one level, like the human interaction in small groups level. But always when we do that, we're going to link the larger scale macro sociology aspects of our social structure to explanations for why and how our behavior is the way that it is. So thank you for joining me for this class, and I will see you again real soon.